As you can tell, we're back in DC again. Actually, we never really left because our conversation with LaShawn Jackson of the Department of Defense was so great that we decided to continue and go extra time and give her not one, but the first 2 episodes of the season. In this episode, LaShawn's gonna get a little bit more personal and talk about her career, how she grew up in the department, how a supervisor took a chance on her and really unlocked her potential, and why she's so excited for the future of recruiting and the opportunities for all of us. So take a listen and enjoy. So when you think about skills as talent currency and look at the different agencies and departments that you have partners in that you're trying to fill roles for, what sticks out to you in terms of the best way to get to really understanding what those skills are, or to make that match in terms of really making sure the interview process reflects a true readout on what are the skills this person's going to need, so when she joins the agency, she joins the department, we know she's going to be successful.
So it's funny you should mention it that way, because I think you heard me mention earlier about how when I came in, I started at one spot or one location, but I ended up here.
Right.
That's one of the things that speaks volumes in our agency. So when we're going through our spiel, if you will, and we're talking to the candidates and asking what is your primary or what is your love or thing that you like to do, it's kind of like in college as well, because what is your major and what is your minor?
Right.
Okay. We ask those questions because we have 9 to 10 different career fields. So when you come into our agency, you may come in under one career field as your major, but your minor may be something else. You have that opportunity to take advantage of coming in for your major,
Okay.
and then making that subtle move to your minor, finding that extra love that you like to do. That also speaks to, I think I mentioned it earlier before, the different kind of connections that we have internal to our agency. So you'll come in, you can be a part of a mentoring group, we have coaching groups, we have all these kinds of things that help you to grow, to help you to better understand your career aspirations and where you might want to turn into as opposed to your major. You came in for one thing, but you really have another love for your minor. We have an opportunity to allow you to move from your major to your minor. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and much like you talked about your own journey, there's also a version of giving them or planting those seeds of what else you might do, what else you might be capable of, and helping them find the right place for themselves.
Absolutely. So another part of what we have in our agency, again, which makes certain that the conversations are being had, is a part of our performance management process. So all of us, the managers, we are required to have what we call checkpoints with all of our employees. That ensures that we're having a conversation, that you're maintaining that open line of communication with your employees, because again, their interests may change. They still want to stay with the agency, but
Right.
they learned about another opportunity over here. And, having that engagement, having that conversation with the employee and the manager kind of helps to open that up so that you're aware. You give that employee an opportunity to seek out those interests. Still, again, no loss for the agency. It's a benefit for the agency because now you're
Absolutely.
expanding on those skill sets. Okay, you're keeping that talent within. Okay, you're just showcasing it and you're just spreading it all over the place. Again, another benefit for the agency.
Is that part of the mix for you in terms of how you compete with the private sector for roles?
Yeah, because, for example, we recently had a couple of candidates to come in through our private connection, our private sector or vendors connection that work with the agency. But again, it's that unique skill set or that talent that they bring, and transferring that over and absorbing that into our current processes and being able to bring them on as full-time employees in our agency, that's a benefit for us. Having that private sector mindset or the expertise in those discussions, things that they do differently on a private sector that drove them to the private sector and didn't really express interest in the federal government. We look at that. How can we come at least somewhat close to providing that same experience or that same opportunity
Sure.
that they require, that they had in the private sector, but yet we can transfer it over in the civilian sector. And again, changing our mindset. How can we think or adopt that process if it works so well for the private sector,
Right.
and to get them over in the government side of the house?
And do you find that the team, that the agency, that leadership is open to that?
Absolutely.
Because there is this perception that, well, government can't, and the juxtaposition, rightly or wrongly, is, well, all these magic things happen in the private sector that just are impossible in government.
We hear it all the time. So I don't like to say can't, because it isn't, I don't think it's what the government can't do. I think there are flexibilities that reside on both the private and the government side that can or cannot be utilized.
Right.
But as far as in terms of thinking, how do you attract and retain and yet sustain, having bringing some of that talent in from the private sector into the government, there are several flexibilities that allow that to happen. It just depends on, again, where that mission set is, where their goal is, and how you bridge that gap to bring that talent from the private sector into the government sector. Most times we hear just the salary difference.
Yep.
Okay, but we've had success with so many of the private sector employees coming into the government sector because they find that, it may be a salary difference. However, again, there's work-life balance, there's quality of life, there's benefits. There are all of these things that still kind of equate to and measure up to that private sector.
That's actually fascinating to me because I think that would be counterintuitive to a lot of us who have no experience and don't have a lot of family and anything working in government at any level. Because you're pointing at things that seem trend-wise to be very much top of mind. There's a real resistance and a backlash to everybody must be in the office. So you're
Yes.
pointing at hybrid work, ability to advance, ongoing education.
Yes,
You're global by definition.
we are.
There's a lot of, there's a big world to see out there. It doesn't mean you have to be in a building in Washington, D.C. to work for the DoD.
Absolutely. While the pandemic was a very, it was a tragic incident or event that took place, again, like I tell my kids all the time, find some kind of an open door or a aha moment from everything. What have we learned? What can we learn?
Right.
Well, the pandemic showed us that we don't have to be so pigeonholed, okay? We don't have to be so static. We don't just have to stand in one place.
Right.
We can still get our jobs done if we open up our minds and open up our thought processes. And again, allow people, it's allowance for me. You have to allow people to expand. Allow people the opportunity because people will make it happen. They will show you that it can be done, but you have to allow that process to take place.
One of the things that I love that, by the way, I don't want to fly by it because I think it's incredibly important, and that's just a good leadership principle. It has nothing to do with public or private or young or old or anything else. It
Absolutely.
has to do with, how do you maximize the talent that you have around you, and both as individuals and as a team collectively to advance the mission.
I have a group on my team that is different mindset, different characteristics, fun because they just have vibrant attitudes. They're people oriented. They're definitely mission focused and driven because no matter what, it's not going to stop them from moving and getting the job done.
Right.
You have to have that mix though, okay? You even have to have that annoying coworker that just thinks and believes that he or she does it all right, all the
Right.
time. But you kind of have to have that person because it still adds to that dynamic, okay? It adds to that mixture, if you will. And it forces other people to think. And at the same time, for that quiet one, it forces that quiet one to speak up. Okay? So you have to have that mix. You simply can't have all dominant personalities or all soft personalities. You really got to have that mix to kind of hope to open things up. I tell you, I don't make a whole lot of the decisions, honestly. I let the team kind of drive in a direction that we are going or that we need to go, what works best, okay? Because I'm looking at something kind of totally different, if you will. But for the most part, they're in the day-to-day activity, consulting with the candidates, the movement of the candidates, the workload, all those kinds of things.
Right.
They kind of have a better idea of what works best for us, not them, us, because we never use I, we always use we, because I don't care who's driving the ship. If one person doesn't perform their function, there's a possibility that we go down on that ship.
Right.
So there's never an I at any point. And there's always that collaboration and that partnership and that cohesiveness that makes us work. I have one young lady on the team that pretty much drives and tells me, no, we're not doing the event at this point. We're going to move it to this point, and here's the reason why. Okay, it's whatever she said. She has a better lens, okay, on what works best cohesively, again, for not just a time frame, but for the team. So if she says we're not moving that way, I don't question it. It's okay for me. She knows best.
And I'm going to guess that those people like working for you.
I would think that they do. I like to think that they do.
I think they do too. COVID in the last couple of years, and certainly the economic cycles haven't done anybody any favors. It's been really tough on talent and on HR holistically, but specifically on talent and recruiting teams. What would you say are really the biggest lessons learned for you and your team coming out the other side of this? And how has it changed the way that you work?
Oh, it's definitely changed the way that we work. Excellent point. It's definitely changed the way that we work because some of the processes that we implemented and the manner and way in which we did things prior to, we're able to do in a different environment now. We're able to actually function differently now. We're actually able to increase our productivity now. And we're able to just do our touch points differently now because, again, whereas it was more so in the office that we were tied to and we felt we just had to do, we found ways, we found flexibilities, we implemented processes unknowingly how they were going to work, but we did them, okay, because we had to do them to see if they would work. Again, that was another benefit of COVID.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to leap out there and find out or figure out a way to continue to get your business done because business wasn't going to stop.
Right.
It wasn't going to go away. It was only going to be a temporary pause or halt while we think and figure this thing out and work it through. So that's pretty much what we literally had to do. There wasn't a let's just stop until the world decides to start moving again. No, because now we needed people to come in and do X. We knew we needed talent now to come and do this.
Right.
Okay. Other things started to show up that either one or two things. They were set by the wayside until we can get to them, or they were discovered during this time. So now, whatever the case may be, we now need those resources to come in. We need that talent to come in and start putting this thing into fruition, at least start movement on it. That's what it did for us. So there was no stopping point. There was no breaking point. Maybe a slight moment of pause just while we took it all in.
Right.
But then we had to exhale because we are expected to do a job. Even before, there were people still in the pipeline waiting to come on board. We need those resources now.
Right.
So now we got to expedite whatever efforts we have in place or not, whatever efforts we want to put in place. Let's test it out and see what happens, see where it leads us. That's pretty much what we did, and we're still benefiting from those efforts now. Right now, I am sitting here and the team is back functioning as usual. So if there's an event taking place or we're preparing for an event to take place, they're back there and right now they've already sent out 300 invites for interviews and setting all of those up. At the same time, there's another team that is participating in what you guys call an on-demand type service, okay? So if you think about it, at least for us, that's the possibility of two efforts taking place to cover or reach out to about maybe 300 folks or so. Who knows? It just depends on the number of people that have applied to those VAs that we put out. That's productivity that is taking place at the speed of light almost, and that is moving. And even after we leave the office, HireVue is still allowing those activities to take place because, again, we've sent out the meeting invites. We're simply waiting for the candidates to come back and schedule those open slotted interviews. And we'll return in the office the next morning to see that those slots have filled, and then we will press on. We will move on. So we can pretty much have 3 or 4 or however many we want interview processions, if you will, taking place or scheduling's taking place, all while we're just sitting and working on something else. But HireVue is literally in the background or behind the scenes doing most of the work.
Well, and as you said earlier, you both have a husband and kids, but you operate
Yes.
globally. So you have to
Yes.
go see the husband and kids, maybe get some sleep every once in a while. The hiring's still going on, the automation's going
Absolutely.
on around the world.
And not to mention at various time zones. So because we operate around the world, and yeah, we do have some folks that work 24/7 for whatever reason, okay, in different time zones, to accommodate those time zones, we don't have to worry about that with HireVue. We send it out. HireVue is accessible no matter what time zone you're on. So whenever it reaches you and you see that request or that requirement, you respond and it comes back to us. We don't have to worry about that. I was one of the ones in another position where I would come in the office at about maybe 4 in the morning or so, something like that. So I can catch, people in a different time zone, Hawaii or whatever, so I can talk to them.
Right.
I don't have to worry about that or do that with HireVue. I simply send it out. It reaches whomever on that appropriate time zone. They respond, we get it back. We can reach them and still do or schedule an interview. Again, these are choices that they are making. We are not dictating that to anyone. We're telling you here are the time slots. Whatever time slot works for you, please pick one. We'll accommodate.
What do you think's the biggest misconception for people when they're trying to think about public sector versus private sector in the world of talent?
The biggest they won't have an opportunity to kind of grow or to do something that they love. We've heard that. We've actually asked a similar question, maybe in a different context. And we say to people, at least for our agency, not such the case. Not such the case. Again, as we start building and we start planning to bring these candidates in for whatever reason, whatever skill set, whatever mission set, we already have a plan. Like I said,
Yep.
we come in, our interns, for example, it's a paid internship program. But we already know when we bring in those 300 or so interns, we know where they're going. They're automatically associated or connected to a mentor or mentoring group. They receive a coach or coach group. They're assigned to or placed in various groups or organizations that kind of help to expand on their specialty or their skill set. For example, if they speak Farsi, we have Farsi speaking groups at our agency so that we link them up so that they can continue to expand or to grow or to get better. So it's not just, welcome to the agency, go off and be great or whatever. No, we have plans for every single candidate that comes in the agency. Again, depending on their skill set, and they have to be open to, to grow
Yes.
and to learn. The opportunities are there. But like I said, there are various groups that we have ongoing all the time, that meet all the time. Lunch and learn, coffee and conversation. That's just to name a few. Okay, meeting directly with the director. He kind of likes to have an opportunity to hear and to listen about the onboarding process and what they experienced, what they went through. If it's not a director, it's the deputy director. But it resonates up.
Yes.
Okay, no matter who you're meeting with. The seniors at the different levels, when you're identified for, like, for example, a specific career field, human services. Okay, the director at the human services level, she wants to hear your experience, what's going on, are we doing right, what are we doing wrong? And again, now she has a team of folks to go off and make it happen.
Right.
I don't say fix it.
Right.
make it happen.
Make
Okay?
it happen.
Because there's always an opportunity for change, okay? You start doing the dishes the same way and then it becomes repetitious. However, someone throws a monkey wrench in the plan and now you need to do the dishes a different way. There's always an opportunity for change and we can make it better.
If you're going to fast forward 5 years, how do you think the world of talent and recruiting changes?
Oh, significantly. I think that this talent that we're looking at now, the exposure that we're giving them, coupled with the opportunities that we're providing for them or is being laid out for them, I think these agencies really, really have to think long and hard about how do we speed up, okay? Because the access to information that they have, okay, the access to opportunity that they have to simply make it happen, it far exceeds, I just think collectively, nothing less, speaking of the agencies, I'm just merely talking about the speed in which the accesses become available, the pathway, the road to getting there, the speed of that, it makes it hard for any of the agencies to really keep up per se. But we got to find a way because this new talent that is coming in, they come in almost requiring no assistance, no help. They simply need to know what is the task, okay? What is the time frame by which you need it? And where is the resource or the tool I can use to get me there? I'll come to you if I have a question.
Right.
But I like to go off and do what I know how to do, what I am skilled to do, what you've hired me to do, what I believe I'm good at doing. Leave me to do it. And then let's have the discussion if it doesn't meet the mark.
Absolutely. And I think people want that feedback too. They
Absolutely.
they want clear direction and they want some opportunity to go do something.
Absolutely. And that could be true as well. They truly want clear direction. They do want to have those open and candid conversations. They really do. Because like I said, this talent that's coming in, they come in with a specific reason. They want to do a good job. They want to make a difference. I met one young lady when I was at a event in Alabama, and we were just merely talking. I said, what are your career goals, your aspirations? She says, I want to be the one to actually pass along or affect the verbiage that comes out of the president's mouth. She said, that's where I want to be. She says, and I'm going to be there.
Go big or go home.
Hey,
That's fantastic.
absolutely. But at least you know the trajectory. You know now where she wants to go, where she wants to be. We just simply need to provide just a pathway to get her there. That's it. She's pretty clear,
Yep.
okay? We just need to help her get there.
Exactly. Connect talent to opportunity.
Absolutely.
When you think back of the best leaders you've ever worked for, worked with, what's an example of one of those people that you worked with or something that you learned that's now put in your bag of tricks?
The colonel I told you about. I don't want to say I because collectively we talked about him throughout the organization or throughout the agency.
Yep.
6'4.5", projected himself very well. He spoke to everyone. It did not matter your position or what you were doing. He spoke to everyone. He had a conversation with everyone. But it was that time where I asked him, you just don't seem to have a bad day. How do you do it? Because in your career, at your level, you've seen some things. You've definitely been through some things, okay? You've been in some tough situations. How do you put this on every day?
Right.
And it's so consistent and it's natural. And he told me two things. If I can fix it, I fix it or I do something about it. If I can't, walk away. Walk away. He refused to let those kinds of things, those stressors that you would expect, to exist, to bring him down.
What's the story I'm going to tell about your Hall of Fame moment before you get up on stage and give your philosophy and thank your mom and thank your family and all that stuff? When you think back on your career, what's your Hall of Fame talent moment?
I will summarize it to say all of the moments I was given an opportunity to excel. That's it. I was given several moments or opportunities to excel or to showcase or to spotlight, whichever word you want to choose. Definitely highlights in my career. Definitely.
Fantastic. And the last question, we think about the mission that we're on as really changing lives by connecting talent to opportunity. What would be your golden rule that you'd share in terms of along that same line of when you think about what great looks like in connecting talent to opportunity, what's that look like for you? What's the golden rule you'd pass on to your peers and the rest of the world?
Be open, okay? Be open. Allow people an opportunity to shine. Allow them an opportunity to be themselves, okay? And to show you, to really show you who they are and who they can be and how their contributions can benefit the agency. They're out there. They are out there, and they really want just an opportunity. Give it to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
And welcome to Higher Thinking. Thanks, LaShawn.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a fantastic couple days of conversation with LaShawn Jackson from the Department of Defense. I was struck by her optimism about how great the talent opportunity is for everybody and how important it is for all of us as practitioners to really unlock those doors and to help candidates and your team members find their passion. Number two, her focus on and respect for her team and the people around her to be not just good partners, but to really unleash their potential. And number three, I think her guidance is important for all of us as we maneuver our way through tight talent markets is be open. Be open to change, be open to trying things new, be open to rethinking the art of the possible, and that unlocks potential for your organization and for your candidates as well. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to continuing the conversation here at Higher Thinking.